Welcome to Ring My Bell podcast. We have a very special guest, and his name is Joe Foster. He's the founder of Reebok, and I would say let's welcome him on the show because his story is very inspirational.
Hi, Yulia.
Hi, Joe. So nice to see you again. It was a pleasure to see you in New York with your lovely wife, your beautiful, lovely wife. So thank you so much for making time and coming onto my podcast. And if I may ask you to begin with, obviously Reebok, very, very successful. There's a lot of success on that. So, what motivated you to actually create Reebok?
Well, we have to go back really to our younger days, Jeff and myself, and we worked for the family business, J.W. Foster. J.W. Foster was a company founded by my grandfather in 1900. But he actually invented the running spike shoe in 1895 when he was 15, and his own business in 1900 when he was 20. And he was very successful. He knew, even though he might not have known the word influencer, he knew how to influence his customers, because he used to give his shoes to the leading runners. And by 1904, which is a long time ago,
Yeah.
he had three world records. By 1908, he had two Olympic gold medals won in his shoes. So he knew how to influence people, and he actually grew a very nice business. Unfortunately, he died in 1933, and I wasn't born until 1935. So I never
Right.
knew my grandfather. By the time I am ready to take my place in the company business, I did that when I was 17. But my uncle and father, my father and uncle, they were the ones running the business. Unfortunately, they did not get on. They did not speak to each other. They just
Uh-oh.
ignored each other. And as you can imagine, a company which is run by two people who don't speak to each other, that company is not going to do well.
Mm-mm.
So the reason for Jeff and myself starting up Reebok was the fact that we could see the company was failing, and we needed really to do something for ourselves, which we did. So we left the company and we set up our own company. So that was the reason.
Right, right, right. And so, just going to the name Reebok, right? So for the audience members, because obviously, I've heard you speak a few times, so I know kind of, the information. But for the viewers who are very curious
Yeah.
to know about you, so how did you come up with the name?
Well, of course, if you read the book and we started our life as Mercury Sports Footwear in 1958, uh, which for us was a nice name for a company. And we had the Winged Messenger. The Winged Messenger was our logo. But we're doing nicely. 18 months after setting up our business, the accountant said, "You're doing well, Joe, but you better register your name."
Yeah.
I could take up 30 minutes telling this story, but so we'll have to condense it down a bit. We found out we couldn't register the name. Somebody else had it registered.
Oh, okay.
So we were told we'd have to make up our own name, but don't give it one name. I had to find 10 names to give to an agent who would then check them against the register. And we started off thinking of Cougar. That's a good name, Cougar Sports, or maybe Falcon Sports. So we were going down the wild animal sort of or the bird route, and I had a dictionary. In 1943, I've got to take you back to when I was 8, which is 80 years ago. When I was 8, I won a dictionary during World War II. Like COVID, we couldn't travel, but we had local
Right.
events. I won a race, and in that race, I won a dictionary. I was a bit disappointed it wasn't a football, but it was a dictionary, and it was an American dictionary. It was a Webster's American
All
Dictionary.
right.
So we fast forward now to 1960 when we were looking for a new name, and I have my dictionary, and I like the letter R. So I open my Webster's dictionary, my American dictionary, at the letter R, and I start thumbing through just to look at names, and I came across Reebok, Reebok. And what was that? Well, it's a small South African gazelle. We're a running company.
Mm-hmm.
Gazelle. Perfect. I put that at the top of the list, and after a short while, the agent came back and said, "Joe, you've got your wish. You can have Reebok." So that's
Wonderful.
how we,
So it's interesting how something like, getting the gift, right? The dictionary, which you didn't really like, you were disappointed, but actually that led to something huge, right? I mean, a name,
oh, right.
it is a big thing, right? At the end of the day. So
Well, it was certainly big for us, yes.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
worked very well. Yes.
Very good. And so, Joe, so what lessons have you learned while starting and running like your own company? Obviously, you had experience within the family company, family business, but then you guys decided to go on your own. So, what have you learned, like the biggest lessons?
Well, what we did learn at the family business was just how to make a running shoe. So we knew how to make shoes. However, Jeff and I did go to college to learn more about shoes. But the best thing we picked up was not so much the knowledge of how to make different shoes, but people. We picked up a lot of friends, a lot of people who could help us where to buy materials from, machinery, different techniques. So that was more valuable to us than just learning how to make a different pair of shoes. And it turned out to be very useful when we did decide to leave, because if we had a question, where do we get this from? We went to the college people and they would tell us, they would help us. So we got a lot of help in that. So, I learned that. The other thing we learned is that after 18 months, we had to change our name. After 4 years, we had to change our silhouette. Adidas complained that our silhouette, which was two stripes and a T-bar, infringed their three stripes. We didn't have any money to fight, but what we had learned is that, well, if you have a problem, how do you turn that to be an opportunity?
Hmm.
Learning how to turn things into an opportunity. We were looking at the problem and saying, okay, you're obviously not in the right direction, so you need to pivot a little bit. You need to do something and turn it around. So again, we changed our silhouette, and we now have the Vector, which you see on Reebok shoes today.
Right.
So what we learned in those early days was not how to make shoes, but how to be in business, and
Yeah.
how to manipulate the business.
Right, and you've done it really well. And so, kind of touching upon the point you just mentioned with the, Adidas conflict. So, like, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you have experienced, but also successes? So, obviously, I would say one of the greatest challenges was at that time with Adidas, which you turned around, right? But what were
Mhm.
other challenges, like biggest challenges you've experienced and
Well,
successes?
we went through a number of challenges in trying to take our business global. I decided to appoint a distributor for the UK, and it was a very good company. But unfortunately, shortly after my decision and shortly after they'd taken over, the owner decided to retire and put his son-in-law in charge of the business. And his son-in-law did not know anything about business. He was an engineer, and he spent his time and his efforts on making the factory look good, but forgot the idea that he had to sell product. And he lost the whole sales team left.
Right.
Oh, and he didn't know how to replace. So
Mm.
eventually, and it didn't take too long, the company went out of business. And we had to rescue that because 80% of our production from our small factory, 80% of the production was going through this one distributor. So we had to go down to the distributor and recover all the product they hadn't sold because they were not paying us. So we recovered that, and we had to find a method of selling that. Otherwise, we would have no cash flow. So we had local schools, probably 25 miles in circumference diameter from us, and we went around to all the schools selling the product. They were able to buy our product at half the price, but even that was better money than we were getting from our distributor. So we made a bit more money. We had to put some effort in. We learned another lesson about no matter how good the opportunity looks, be prepared. It may not work.
Yes. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's kind of like a challenge going together with the success, right? It's like if you're able to deal with it, right? To take the opportunity or the challenge and turn it around, become success.
Yes, well, I think that's the one. We had more than one opportunity to turn the problem into success,
Yeah.
and once we got used to that, we almost enjoyed it because it was a challenge, and we found out in every case that when we challenged it and we turned it around, we were doing better. It was better. We came out with a better result, and so for us, failures, challenges were not really a problem; they were an opportunity.
Exactly. And what advice would you give to aspiring business owners?
Well, it depends if they're new people. If they are new, don't think it's all going to be simple. It isn't. You will have to face problems of some whatever they are. But if it's a problem, just think you're lucky that you've got a problem or a small failure, whatever it is, because it gives you another opportunity. Gives you an opportunity to look at something. There was something wrong. If you had got this problem, there's something wrong, but it is an opportunity. So anybody in business is to really look at your problems or any troubles and see where you can turn those into an advantage, because you will find that it allows you to scale your business a lot more.
Right, right. I agree with you on that completely. And how has Reebok evolved since its launch? Because obviously you've seen it, you started it, and obviously it's still there. What is your perception of that?
Well, in the first place, whether people call me an entrepreneur or not, I'm not a serial entrepreneur. In other words, I don't just build a company to sell it and build another company to sell it. So that's what entrepreneurs do. So I am more a dynasty or a brand builder, because our objective was really all the time to improve, to try to scale, to whatever it is, to improve, to get the name Reebok to becoming a household word, to becoming a brand that everybody has heard of. So that was the objective, and that's really what we concentrated on. Trying to, I don't know, be something special. We were building a community, we were building a culture, and we were building a team. So it was all to do with building.
Right.
There was nothing to do. People do ask when we go to colleges, universities, and the students there say, "What was your exit plan?" And of course, that's very new. The idea that you are an entrepreneur, so you need an exit plan. We didn't have an exit plan. And the only reason I exited was Reebok had a tremendous opportunity when it came to aerobics. But to do that, it needed money. And so my decision was to allow the company to grow by bringing people in and not missing our opportunity, because our opportunity was proved to be from 9 million as a running company to 900 million as a women's company, as an aerobics company.
Right.
And that made a big difference.
Wonderful. Well, Joe Foster, thank you so much for your time and giving a little insight to the viewers. I really appreciate that. It has been a pleasure, and I hope to see you soon again with your lovely wife. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Yulia. I hope that we will meet again. I'm sure that with JT we'll be around a lot. So
Yes, I believe so.
it's going to be good.
Thank you, Joe. We have enjoyed this episode, and of course for sharing your thoughts. Joe, he's such a lovely man, very warm, very kind, and he has a new book which is called The Shoemaker. I'm going to put the link down below for those of you who would like to read it. And I would definitely recommend, especially for someone who wants to start a company, because, the book is about the remarkable story of how Joe Foster developed Reebok into one of the world's most famous brands, starting from a small factory in Bolton. So it's a very inspirational story. I would highly recommend to read. And of course, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.